Yes, people, good morning to Albert JTV for the penultimate match review. Nottingham Forest 1, Arsenal nil. The title now is officially done. But before we get into it, let's smash the intro. Footballing community, you should know what to do by now. Like, share, and subscribe. Welcome back to Albert JTV. A social media platform. Know what you're talking about. And what I mean by that is goals, ESR and Saka have done well. They've done okay. They've done well. Good morning, football community. More so, Arsenal community. Smash the like button and subscribe to Albert JTV. People, penultimate match review this season. No fancy tricks, no pictures, no graphics. Just a good old honest Sunday morning conversation with my brother from another mother, from the beautiful part of Hastings. I was going to say Sussex, but Hastings. Ray, how you been, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Other than the football, I cannot complain. The sun is shining, and only one team will finish above us this year. So yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, listen. As I normally do, man. I do fan cam for my beloved brother Mo. Big up to Mo for the opportunity. See a little bit of reaction on the socials yesterday, as I do. A very little bit, by the way. That's been my sort of thing for the season, just to sample a little bit, see what's going on, but and just take a detox, mate, and relax. I mean, after watching that, there's bits to talk about, mate. But let me go to the chat quickly before I start interrogating Ray with loads of questions. Scott Boogie, 11 hours ahead, man, in Australia, man.
Big up, Scott. Big up,
Scott, remind me where you live again. I cannot bloody remember. I forgot again. Ian and gents, what a kick in the guts at the end of the season has been. So much to dive in and explore. Mate, couldn't have put it better myself, man. Love Scotty. Ray, I know you haven't got long, so it'll be a short one. One, because you ain't got long, and two, because I don't want to go over that
again. Yeah.
Now, Ray, before I come in, that listen, we have a certain team in the other half of North London who've got their own problems to worry about. But I'll bring it up. Jay, what's happening, mate? Oh, the double act's coming. The girlfriend and partner both in the chat with my Tottenham people. Morning. Holly, I like the way you replied back to me now after I messaged you yesterday. You know what I'm talking about, but we won't go into detail anyway. And Scott's there. Sydney, that's it, man. My memory's gone. This is the age, everything, man. But audio listeners, you won't be forgotten. This will be down. This will be ready for Spotify and what's the other one? Apple, so you can get it on the downloads. What you know what bloody message I'm talking about?
Holly was probably at the Tottenham Hotspur end of season awards last night, so she probably was not looking at her phone then. So it's all good. It's all good.
Holly, send me the receipts. I want to see the pictures of your glorious walk around the pitch at White Hart, because I know you was there yesterday. So fair play. But Ray, yeah. So let's get into it, man. I mean, where do I start? I mean, let's start with the most obvious for me, which was obviously every game we wait about an hour before for the team lineups to come out. What was your initial thoughts, man?
Well, it was just so strange, wasn't it? I mean, the team come out. I mean, the obvious one is the left back situation.
Oh my god!
Granit Xhaka was there for some reason. We've seen Xhaka at left back in previous seasons, and it just hasn't worked. On Sky, it was strange because it looked like we set up with the three at the back. But if that was the case, then we would have had Ødegaard playing left wing or left midfield, left wing back, and Thomas Partey on the other side. So that didn't make any sense. And it kind of looked like Arteta was trying to tinker and do his football manager, a bit like Pep's done earlier on in the season.
Yeah, it's true.
But now, and all right, I know it was basically already gone anyway. But at least, push City to actually have to kick a ball to win the league this weekend. Don't just give it to them. That was what was really frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the team lineup, I think the first thing I kind of noticed really was Tierney was on the bench. And I thought, okay, So who's going to play left back? And then obviously we see Thomas Partey and Jorginho starting and Xhaka. So I thought he surely can't be going to Xhaka at left back. But then when the game, like you made the good point, like when they sort of formulated, when they put the picture up on screen on Sky, and then what I saw in the actual real time, we saw we've unearthed the right back at Arsenal in Thomas Partey, Kivior at left back, and obviously Ben White and Gabriel in the centre. I just, mate, I'll be honest, Ray. I thought I don't know what I said to myself. I don't know what's going on. I generally don't understand what's happening. Why is he doing this? I mean, I went on to I think Sophie's calmed down now, but so Nicola, she actually left an event that she was at to come and do a live stream because she wasn't pleased with that. I'm not going to say what she said, but yeah, she wasn't pleased. And I said this before, Ray. Like you saw it, I spent a lot of time with Pep, obviously. So Pep done a couple of strange things in a few of their Champions League campaigns where he's just tried. I don't know. He woke up one day and just thought, you know what, I'm gonna try this. Like on the team, I thought, what is he doing? I don't understand what's going on. Like, I'm laughing. It's not funny because I wasn't laughing at the time, but I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what's going on? As you say, we come into the game against Forest. Forest have got a lot riding on this game, by the way.
Yeah,
and we knew it's a tough place to go. City got there and got a point. They beat Liverpool at the City ground as well. So we start the game, Ray. I mean, what do you say? The first thing I said to myself, I'll come back to you, is the way Arsenal have played in recent weeks, and knowing Forest have got a lot to play for. We're talking about their Premier League survival here. What you don't want to do, if Arsenal had done their homework in terms of scouting and seeing how Forest are, particularly City ground, you do not want to go 1-0 down to these guys. And we did. And it came from Martin Odegaard, misplaced pass, not the first time again, by the way. Gabriel, a little bit unlucky, comes off a 1-0, but what do you make of that first sort of 15, 20 minutes, man?
Just chaotic, wasn't it, from our perspective? That was the worry, that we were going to go into a game where Forest had a lot riding on it and we didn't. And, we looked like we were, on the beach, or we weren't really sort of up for it, or we were mentally checked out, I think you mentioned.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how it panned out, really, wasn't it? It was really frustrating to see that was our approach. The fact that, as we mentioned, Arteta has completely changed the system, the formation. We're playing players in positions they never played before, in high stakes games in the Premier League. So the whole thing was just odd, and we just had no real sort of urgency on the ball. I didn't think our passing was really sort of passive and a little bit wayward at times. And I believe we could still be playing now, mate. And I don't think we'd actually score. We didn't even test Keylor Navas from what I can remember. So, I don't know what else to say, to be honest, because
don't worry about it. I'll give you some lead.
It was a complete. Yeah, it was just a complete mess, really. And we've got one more game left. Hopefully, we can at least show a little bit more, something about us, because we've been so good up until the last sort of 5 or 6 games of the season. And it just, when we get to this stage of the season, the title's gone, and now these are the games we're just playing out. At least finish on a high, and at least City are probably going to finish, 10, 11 points ahead of us,
which is unacceptable.
Which in my opinion, this how we've done this season should never be the case. So the players and staff have to have a long, hard look at themselves and try and fix up for next week.
But I hear what you're saying about not a lot to say. I'll be honest with you, Ray. Like, as a content creator, when you watch your respective teams play, you jot down notes. I didn't put anything. What's the support? Honestly, they scored the goal in 19 minutes. Odegaard, I still don't know what he was doing, Ray. To be honest, I don't know what he was seeing, or maybe the sun was in his eyes. I don't know. I generally don't know. But yeah, I didn't put any. I hardly put any notes down, to be honest with you. And the notes I did put down were negative ones. But they were negative in the sense that they're statistic data based. So it's the truth. You can't lie. You can't make it up.
Yeah.
But Ray, you make a good point, man. Like City are at home. They're not even kicking the ball. They've won the league, right, with 3 games to spare. How's that even happened? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
listen, we can sit here and listen. Let's have a frank and honest conversation here. We can sit here and talk about the juggernaut of City and 5 out of 6 Premier Leagues and the rest of it and whatever. But we're Arsenal fans here. You know, 50 points at the halfway stage of the season. But let's be frank, it's a 38 game season.
Yeah.
I know people take real issue with the term bottle jobs and failure. Ray, you can phrase it however way you want to phrase it. You can call it a missed opportunity. I sort of slept on it the last 24 hours, and I said it was a missed opportunity on Tom's channel during the week when he done when Tom had his mission statement. I was laughing when he put mission statement, but we've thrown it away, mate. I think that's not unfair to turn around and say. You can talk about injuries. You can talk about the how young the team is and the squad is, but the way they've capitulated, Arsenal have the bad thing about it, Ray, is we actually kind of have a bit of a history, Arsenal, in terms of it's been spoken about for many a season. When it gets to crunch time of the season, Arsenal fall away. And unfortunately, whether you like it or not as an Arsenal fan, we had the race to get into the top 4, which didn't pan out very, very well. We've had the same scenario this season going for a league title. I actually think that's panned out even worse, because if you look at our run of games, you said it over 6, let's say 2 months effectively. It's gradually got worse. I mean, I'll come back to you, Ray. Like, for example, after yesterday's game, 7 points out of a possible 24. 3 wins in 9. 17 goals conceded in 9 games. Yeah, you can't argue against that. So come in, man. Come in, my friend. Sorry.
No, it is frustrating. I mean, I am one of those people that does not like the word bottling. Maybe just because I've heard it so many times in the last 4 weeks. Honestly, if I had £1 for every time I've heard the word bottle, I could probably pay Erling Haaland's wages, this week. Honestly. But yeah, I mean, you are right. We haven't been able to deal with the pressure when it really matters.
Yeah.
So if you want to call it a bottle, then that is what it is. But we need to learn from this season, and we need to learn quick. The way that we have managed games at times has been shocking. Some of the decision making for the players. I mean, just to pick on him, I used Aaron Ramsdale against Southampton in the first 20 seconds. Yeah. And what really gets me, Albert, is that, all right, this was a game that we could literally just play, try and win, and delay the inevitable. But why is it when it's a big game for Nottingham Forest, they've got to win it to stay up? So last home game of the season, why can't we just go there and be the disruptors like a lot of teams have been to us this season or in the last, 5-6 weeks? Why can't we just go there and, all right, they've scored, but you know what, we'll game manage and we'll, I don't know if you want to say time, but do you know what I mean? Just frustrate, nick a goal, because we've got the quality to do so. And then, try and impose ourselves and make it a nervy end for Forest. If I was sat there watching the game yesterday with a Forest supporter, I would have told them that, you don't need to be worried, because from 50, 60 minutes, you could just tell we ain't scoring unless Forest, just implode and shoot themselves in the foot. We had nothing about us. We ain't scoring. So although they are nervous because it's a massive game, if you're neutral or from even Arsenal's perspective, there's nothing to worry about.
Ray, so it's just Ray, Southampton went there and scored 3.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say, man. Come in, mate. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, listen, First of all, fair play to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, big up
And
Dave,
well
man.
done. Yeah,
Yeah,
big up Dave. Well done for staying up generally. They're a proper club with proper supporters. So it'll be great to see him in the Prem again next year. But the City ground is a real tough place to go. You did mention
yeah.
earlier that
FA Cup
City
game.
and Liverpool. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I've only seen us ever play at the City ground maybe 4 or 5 times
Mm.
in my lifetime, and I can't remember us ever winning. And bear in mind they've only been in the Prem this season.
Yeah.
But I think prior to yesterday, I think they were on 34 points and 27 points of theirs came at home at the City ground. So it was
Yeah,
never going to be
for sure.
easy, and you could see the home crowd and how loud and how they really do get behind the team and get that place bouncing. It's always going to be difficult. But like I say, we just got to. It's just so frustrating that we just couldn't go there and just disrupt that and ruin the party in a way, because I've seen so many teams do it to us recently. And man for man, we're miles better than some of these teams. So the fact that we can't go there and impose ourselves is really frustrating. And we know we can do it because we've done it a couple of weeks against Newcastle. So it really is baffling, mate.
You make a good point, because even with when we beat Newcastle away, it's not like that's not like that was 2 months ago. It was 2 Sundays ago.
Yeah.
Well, what's happened? Like,
Same group of players. Yeah.
It's crazy, mate. Like I listen, Ray, I can concede losing the title to a team like City, but what I cannot accept is the way they've capitulated. I'm sorry, like, even that wasn't a pressure game for Arsenal yesterday, and we still folded.
Yeah.
And actually, you could probably even argue, in terms of worst performances of the season, that game, the game where City's absolutely humbled us at the Etihad. There's been some poor displays this season, but that's got to be up there. I mean, I think, Ray, I think there's a deeper problem at Arsenal, mate. To be honest with you, I think there's a mental fragility there. This is not a new thing, because you can sit here and analyze it till the cows come home, but to go through for it to happen once, the last season where we finished, you can forgive it a little bit. You're not happy with an Arsenal fan because we missed out on Champions League qualification. Happens twice, you're like, yeah, this isn't good. And if we get into the same position or similar position again, what are we going to turn around and say, Ray? Are we going to turn around and say that the team's too young? Mikel Arteta's still a novice manager. That's going to come to a point where it's going to stop. You can't keep turning around and saying that, because people weren't saying that when we were winning games left, right, and centre. Some people might say, "Oh, but when we accumulated the 50 points, we hadn't gone to the City away, we hadn't gone to Liverpool away." Like, fair enough, but the way it's fallen off, mate. Listen, I can sit here and say, it's for me, Ray. I don't know how you sum it up. It's been a massively progressive season. It's not been a successful season. A successful season is looking at your trophy cabinet and seeing trophies in there. End of story.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, man? Come in, man. Sorry.
Yeah, well, you basically took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say it's been progression, but no real, not a successful season. We can look back on this season with relative fondness, I believe, but unfortunately, how it's ended. I think it will just sour it, and if it was the flip side, so if we had this start of the season and then we'd finished, by winning every game and then sort of draw close, it'd be a completely different perspective, wouldn't it? But yeah, how this season has ended has been really disappointing, and the fact that we've gone out of 2 domestic cups and the Europa League as well.
Ray, great point. Keep talking.
Is really frustrating, mate, because you're seeing City win the league, and by the way, congratulations to Man City, because they do fully deserve it. They've put together so far 11 games on the bounce, winning, including 2 wins against us. So you've got to hold your hands up. But yeah, they're looking forward to a Champions League final and the FA Cup final for the treble. Now, if they want to, they can rest players. If Pep wants to do his weird tactical things when he's testing out formations and systems and different players. He can now do that for the next 3 games, and we've let that happen, and that's really frustrating. And some of those games, I think the FA Cup game against City, I think fair enough.
Yeah, January.
It is what it is. It is what it is. I think we gave a good account of ourselves, but at the end of the day, they just have that quality, and it was at their home grounds. But going out to Brighton in the Carabao Cup,
God. I was there
at home, not great. Going out to Sporting Lisbon, how we did, really not great either. I mean, how we went out, it was like a goal from almost halfway line, wasn't it? You'll never see that again, but it just kind of sums it up. So yeah, in that respect, we need to build a squad now that is able to compete on all 4 fronts now, isn't it? And we need to make sure that we're not just replacing squad players or players on our bench, but we're actually getting players to come in and actually challenge for a first team spot, because I think that's how we improve moving forward.
Yeah, mate. I think so. I was just looking at Enkanyezi's bit. Your last bit is, I think, Arsenal fans, I think we're emotionally drained. I said it to you yesterday, Ray. We sort of voice noted. I said, I look at the players that I just they look mentally checked out. I watched that game against Brighton in the second half, and I for points, I was just looking at the players specifically for about 2 minutes. And to me, they was gone. They was completely gone. Listen, I think, in regards to like, I guess with this kind of stream, like, we're going to take it to a different direction, really, because obviously there's only so much you can go over the game. But that yesterday, for me, if I had the money, I'd refund all the Arsenal fans that went to that game yesterday, because last away game of the season, what you want to see is a performance. If the team play better than us and they beat us, then you take it on the chin. But I can't accept that performance. I'm sorry. I sat there watching it. Right, I was probably taking down notes for the match review for this morning. What's there to talk about? Arsenal had 80% possession. So what? What did we do with it?
Nothing. Literally nothing.
Saka.
If we're going to have,
go on. Sorry, bro.
Sorry, mate. I was just going to say, if we're going to have that amount, much of possession, not only do you want to, create chances and get shots away, but you've got to stress the opposition. You've got to pin them back and make them make stupid errors or decisions that they wouldn't normally make. At times we had all the ball, but we were playing in our own half. And then the ball's going out for a throw, and then they bring on Rory Delap Mark II, didn't they, to come and held the ball in. And that was, no pun intended, but that was a throwback, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it was just so frustrating, just the whole approach, and like you say, our away fans do deserve a lot better, because even with the raucous atmosphere, you can still hear them on the TV. So
exactly.
Yeah, big up to them.
Yeah, like Ray, you make a good point. Like, I 2 things I want to sort of put to you is, I said this to Sophie yesterday. I said, we got knocked out of the FA Cup in January. We got knocked out very early doors in the Carabao Cup against Brighton. We got turned over by Sporting Lisbon. And then we hear that, and then we're watching Arsenal. We're saying, oh, they look tired. I'm like, they're playing 1 game a week. I don't understand. Ray, help me out.
I think they're emotionally tired, mate. I think they're
gone.
Yeah. Physically, they should be absolutely fine, and I absolutely hear what you're saying. The problem is that when we play games, we play it with too much emotion on the line. Like, if you watch City play, I mean, if you watch them play later, I mean, they might be drunk, they might have been at a party, and it allowed it. But when you watch them, I mean, take the Real Madrid game, for example. That was just cold. That was just, we're there, we've got our support, that will fuel us. But at the end of the day, tactically, every player will do his job, and we will just go there and we'll get the job done. And I use City again because they are the team now to beat, obviously, aren't they? When they have that penalty miss against Leeds, and then it
Yeah.
goes 2-1 at home,
Mm.
that's it. They're not losing. You know,
Yeah.
they're just going to control the game. They're going to get their better players are going to get on the ball, and when they have possession like we had yesterday, then they're going to actually do something with it rather than just have it for possession's sake. They're actually going to kill the game, and that's what we need to learn to do. We need to learn to be able to be a lot more. Don't know how to describe it, like cold-blooded killers. Just when we get
Ruthless. Yeah. You're more
ruthless.
ruthless.
That's probably it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because at the moment we are just too we're too emotional, and that affects our decision making, and then that
Yeah.
has a knock-on effect, and that's how we're, in my opinion, that's how I think we're not winning games, or we're throwing these games at times.
Ray, you make a good point. I'll tell you why, and I'll give you a perfect example of that. We played Newcastle at home. I was at the game, so I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'll take her up and down the touchline, and people want to say what they want to say, but for me, when I watched that game, and I remember it well, I thought we was all over the place. Yes,
Yeah.
the referee was absolutely terrible. He was awful. But Arsenal, the players, they completely lost it. They completely lost. I'm watching that game. Arteta's lost on the touchline. In it, it does mirror image onto the players. I've even heard it said about Klopp, Liverpool. Yeah, yes, good manager, very emotional. But you're right. You're right. I think that's a very, very good point. In Kenyezi, you know what? I get your comment. Actually, I think it's something we can revisit. Sort of. It depends what we do in the summer window, but I think definitely we touch on the beginning of next season, Ray, with this comment with up on the screen.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, it's a plausible question. It's a plausible statement to say. Like he's put in quotation marks negative. But I get what he's saying.
Listen, when we've ultimately failed, we've got to be accountable. We've got to ask these questions.
Yeah.
Big up to Inkanezi there, but I disagree. I think he has taken us forward, and I do believe with time and backing that he can potentially get us to where we want to be. But again, that's only going to be proven in time and in hindsight, isn't it? So it kind of is what it is.
Yeah, it's a question that comes up. It's a fair point. I think that would definitely come up during even when the season's done about Arteta. But listen, let's be frank. He's not going anywhere unless something happens behind the scenes that we don't know about. Yeah, he isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Whether Arsenal fans like it or not, it's tough. That's what's going to happen. I'm actually not surprised by the way we have done shards of the Wenger teams, in my opinion. Fair play. Matt, you know what it is? It's not that I said they look tired. A lot of people have said it, and I'm saying, well, how can they be tired when they've got one game a week? We're not in. We didn't get to the depths of the Europa League. We weren't in the quarterfinals, semi-finals of the Carabao or the FA Cup. So I don't know where the tiredness is coming from. Yes, we've got a core of players where Ray, we've got a good 12, 13 maybe. It's clear to me, even if you look at the bench, he doesn't trust some of the players. Okay, Nelson was not well yesterday apparently, but Ray, let's be honest, mate. He's been fit the games before. He's not brought him on.
Yeah.
Trossard probably could have started a lot more games than he has done. We go back to January. Like when you're bringing these guys in, you're not bringing them in to play for next season. We was top of the league, was it?
Yeah.
Was it Ray 248 days? Was it? Something like that. And
that's something crazy. Yeah.
That we're the only team like to kind of not progress and win a league title. From that point, it's not good to read, mate. Don't make me feel.
It's not. No, it's not. I mean, what I would say is that when we built this squad at the start of the season, we were building it from a Europa League to try and get into the top four. So, that's kind of the remit. Obviously, as the season goes on, things can change, and it did for us. And then all of a sudden, we went from wanting to qualify for Champions League to actually fighting and trying to win a Premier League title. So I get that. But as you mentioned there, I mean, Saka has been off it since he missed the penalty at West Ham.
Yeah, yes. He hasn't been a defender for about a month, 6 weeks.
Yeah, and we know what his game's all about. He's all about explosiveness and taking his opponent on and just being an absolute handful for the opposition. But but you see with City, if they have a player, let's just say Mahrez, then Foden comes in, or Grealish, or whoever else. So we just don't have that depth, and we don't have that quality just yet. But like I say, it's a big summer ahead.
No, Ray, you know what? I hear you. You know what I say to that? Because listen, the comparing to the Man City thing, I don't really do that much anyway, to be honest. But yeah, someone's put in the chat. We are emotionally exhausted. We are. I needed a break 3-4 weeks ago. But what the thing is with Pep, yes, I know they've got players to bring in. I know. But he's not afraid to drop Kevin De Bruyne. He's not afraid to not play Kevin De Bruyne every single game. You know, he cannot play in the team.
But that's because he knows. Sorry, Albert.
Go on.
I was just going to say that's because he knows he's got. All right, he hasn't got a player that can do what Kevin De Bruyne does. But he's got players that can.
Yeah.
But he's got players that can come in and work in a system that will cover up for Kevin De Bruyne not being there, and get the team still operating at a very elite level. I mean, Julian Alvarez come in for De Bruyne, not the same player whatsoever, but he's coming in and putting goals in from the, outside the box against Fulham and stuff like that.
I hear you. I think what my point more so is that Saka's a perfect example. Now, I saw the stat. I think I might have actually won. It might be somebody else where I can't remember. I think he came on as a sub against, what game was it, Ray? We played at the Emirates. Let's just say it was like 5-6 games ago. He didn't start the game, but he came on. But they said that he's featuring.
Possibly.
He's featuring every single game consecutively for. It was a lot of games. I thought, but I get it. He's important, but he can be rotated.
He can be, yeah, and you are right. He should be rotated. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Reece Nelson. He's obviously a Hale End Academy product, and the Bournemouth goal will live long in all of our memories. And hopefully we can hang on to him for next season. But the teams that want to come in for Reece Nelson are your Palaces, your Brightons, your sort of mid-table Europa League clubs. I don't see Man City being linked with Reece Nelson. I don't see Real Madrid being linked with Reece Nelson to come in, and that's the level that we now have to try and get to if we're going to compete with these teams. We've got to have, like I say, we can't have players in our squad that just replace players in our squad. We have to bring players in that will actually fight and challenge for a first team spot.
Yeah,
you see it with Trossard, for example. He's come in and up until 5-6 games ago, the level never dropped when him or Martinelli were in and out of the team. So that's kind of what we've got to get to, but for all areas of our squad, in my opinion.
Yeah, and someone touched on it earlier, actually. I said this for quite a few years with Arsenal. We need to have some kind of frank and honest conversations. I don't do sentiment FC, mate. I never have done. Yes, people come through the academy. Yes, you walk around with players' names on the back of your shirts. But I'm sorry, Mikel Arteta is quite obvious to me. He does not trust a lot of these players, because the fact that you've got fit players on the bench and you don't give them any minutes. I'm not talking about giving them 25, 30 minutes. You're not even giving them that. It's almost done. You're bringing players on as yes, you bring on players to impact the game, but you're almost doing it as a desperation tactic. Now, for me, going forward, if you don't feel that ESR and your Pepe's, your Maitland-Niles, your Reece Nelsons fit into your plans, Ray, they're gone. Simple as that. I don't sign up to the whole crying on Twitter and the product of the academy. It's great when the academy guys can come through and be successful in the team. That's across any club you support, really. But just drop the sentiment. If you keep talking about we need better, but you're prepared and to be happy for some of these fringe players to still be here. Why?
Yeah,
they're not helping us going forward, because quite clearly he doesn't trust them. So come in, man. Come in.
Yeah, I was going to say I did sort of contradict myself a little bit in my last statement by saying that I want Reece Nelson to stay, but he's ultimately not good enough. I get it, but yeah, I mean, listen, to have a good youth academy at any club, to get 2 or 3 players to come in, and even big bit part players in the first team, is incredible. So the fact that we have got 5 or 6 that we can reel off, plus everyone else out on loan, is amazing. But what we need to now do is we need to be
Ruthless.
ruthless,
Yes.
and those players that don't have a future, they need to go, and we need to get good money in for them if we can. Obviously, Reece Nelson is a potential free. Aidan McNiles is going to be off for free, and all these other players. But yeah, players like, and again, sentiment, but players like Smith Rowe, if he's not going to be in Arteta's plans, we got to get rid.
Gone. Yes,
Pains me to
it's
say,
simple, bro.
we got to get that money in. Teams will pay good money for him. We're in a position now, Albert, where we're actually able to sell our players, whereas in the last few seasons we haven't been. We've had to pay players to leave.
I think Balogun will go, mate. I said this to Potsy about 3-4 months ago. I think if the offer comes in, he's gone.
Yeah, and if the manager doesn't want to use him, or will struggle to get him in the team, then he's got to go. He's got to go. I mean, Charlie Patino, another one who we all love from our academy. Again, we're looking at players like Rice and Caicedo, for example.
Yeah,
he's not on their level. He might be in 3 or 4 seasons, but right now he isn't. So we need to be smart. We need to get good money in for him. We need to get some sort of option in terms of a buyback or good sell-on clause or something along those lines. We need to be smart with our business, and that's where we then look at Edu, and then we have to then try and move on from there. But as you say, mate, we've got some quality players, and some players are going to stay, some players are going to go. We just need to be really smart about how we approach it. It'd be really interesting to see.
Ray, I said this yesterday, and I said this before. I don't really care. Like, even I look at someone like Granit Xhaka. Now I know there's going to be redemption reels and people. Listen, I said this before. I've been lucky enough to go and watch Arsenal play a lot this season, and I've watched him, and as well as he's done, Ray, there's certain times I've watched him. I've had conversations with a couple of the guys that I'm in a group chat with. I said, look, there's times when, whether it be that final pass, the shot at goal, or being in a position to put the ball in the back of the net, Xhaka's not that guy, because we need better. It's as simple as that. That's not being disrespectful. He's done well in a different role, an advanced role at the club this season, but we need better. He's obviously going to move on to Leverkusen if that's true. But if you're talking about levels and standards, Arsenal fans need to stop doing it to themselves, firstly. Like I said to you before, the sentiment thing. Okay, players, we've had bigger players come and play at this football club, bro. That's gone. We're still going. You understand? So, listen, do your appraisals and your thank yous. That's fine, but we need better in a lot of areas. And I want to ask you something as well. I see a lot of Arsenal fans yesterday in particular talking about, the overreaction yesterday, and and I said, look, it's not an overreaction. I said, go back and watch that 90 minutes again against Forest. Go and watch the second half against Brighton. Go and watch the performance against Southampton. Do you want me to keep going on and on? Why can't Arsenal fans question what they're seeing in front of them without them being called negative?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not like personal or anything, then yeah, by all means, go for it.
But why is it an overreaction? Why is it an overreaction? Why is that?
I don't know, to be honest. I think that's just the social media space. I think it is what it is. You're always going to get, because where we've got such a big fan base, you're going to get that, and maybe our rivals want to see us overreact and whatever. But yeah, listen, if we have a bad performance, let's call a spade and say it how it is. Yesterday was really, really disappointing, and when you have defeats like that and performances like that as well, it's very, very difficult to not be overreactive, quote unquote.
But Ray, the thing is, Ray, it's not a knee-jerk reaction. We've seen it for 2 months.
Yeah, no, it's been in the post, isn't it? And we've already read this letter, but yeah, it's a difficult one to answer, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I can kind of I can agree with that, Rancid Pumpkin. But this has been circulating. I mean, the conversations have come up within the last, I'd say, what, like 4 or 5 weeks. Talking about Arteta's job, like going during a title run. By the way, that's a bit mad. I don't know any other manager in the history of football that's getting
See
jobs
the
talking about.
reason. Yeah, and I agree with Rancid Pumpkin there. The reason why, in my opinion, it's mad to get rid of Arteta is because this whole structure has been built around Arteta and Edu. So to get rid of one of those, I think would be very, very harsh.
Ray, he's done enough to get another window, man. Let's be
Yeah,
serious.
yeah. I mean, like you said earlier, we've got progression, but it's not
Yeah,
success because we're not
100%.
lifting any silverware. But to the board and the ownership and whoever else, that is success
And that's the
because
difference.
that's a success, you know, because they at the start of the season would have said, all right, we want Champions League football, whether it be via the league or Europa League, and we all talked about it as well. You know, I remember having conversations, possibly with yourself, mate, where you said, "Oh, I'd rather win the Europa League and finish fourth rather than finishing second and winning nothing."
Yeah,
So
fair
to the
point.
board,
Fair point.
to the board, that's their idea of success. So, like I say, as a supporter, as someone that pays to go to the games fairly regularly, and pays for your Sky and your BT and whatever other TV
Yeah,
subscription you have, and buys all merchandise, you want to see us progressing, and you want to see us move on again next year. What I would say is that although this year has ended in failure, last year ended in failure, there is progression between the 2 years. You know,
yeah,
it's not we've gone from fifth to fifth or fifth, nearly
yeah.
fourth or whatever.
You can the context applied to it. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
but
The
yeah,
thing is,
that's
you
how
can
I
have,
see it.
yeah, no, you're right. You can have context, but you don't have to be happy what you saw yesterday. That's why when Sophie done the stream, I know, I can see why she's annoying.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm thinking stuff
yeah,
like, come on, man. Like, at least on Super Kev Loving came on my stream. He came to watching my stream a few weeks ago. Like, at least take it to last game of the season. Make them go
yeah.
on
And
the
I
board.
was, I was annoyed when the game finished and it said Forest survive and
Yeah,
City
yeah, yeah,
champions.
yeah. I was
Mate,
vexed.
I was fuming. I was absolutely fuming. It was like, well,
Yeah,
you know, it's almost like they've just been waiting in the background. And then even on social media, you see clips of the Man City team watching the game and
yeah. I was
celebrating at the
vexed. Bro.
final. That really annoyed me as well.
Yeah,
But fair play to them. It is what it is. But yeah, it's anyone that went there, anyone that paid to go there and travel up there, anyone that took time out their day to watch the game on TV or wherever they could, and you're an Arsenal supporter, this means a lot to us, this club. So when a performance like that happens and we lose and we just go out with a whimper, it is so frustrating. So yeah, I totally get why people would be really upset. I was. It's just like I say, the way I sort of do it is just to try and forget about football for 2 or 3 hours, whereas some people would just prefer to just vent on Twitter or
yeah.
whichever social media platform they want to use.
Yeah, I did a bit longer than that. I said a few weeks ago, mate. I said a few weeks ago, and I'm being deadly serious. I think probably a lot of content creators feel the same, like and fans anyway. Yeah, I'm at that point where I need to have a recharge, and
It's been a long season, and
yeah, it has been a long
yeah,
season, and the way it's capitulated, the way it has done, you're like, wow. What do you say? It's hard. It's not easy to kind of dissect it, but particularly when you see a team that are just kind of just mentally, they just look gone. And I think the mental thing, as we touched on, sort of is a bit of a systemic issue at Arsenal, mate. To be honest, yes, there's been progression, but there's just something, just a little something mentally where we're just a little bit still fragile, mate. Whether that's
yeah, and
quality, go on, come in, mate.
that's
Come
where
in,
we're
sorry, mate.
looking at. Sorry, mate. That's where we're looking at Arteta and Edu and the powers above to try and rectify that for us.
Yeah.
Whether it's bringing in players, whether it's bringing a new dog, I don't know, but it just
Don't get me
is what
started
it
on
is.
that. I saw people put yeah. I saw a certain YouTuber put that up yesterday on Twitter.
Bloody hell, we'll be looking like Crufts, won't we, by the end of next week if that goes badly. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I say, football is such a weird game. It's a game that can almost be played on percentages and marginal gains, and sort of anything to try and lift the spirits of the players.
Ray,
At least
how long have I got you for? Just to quickly ask you.
another 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's cool. I've got one more thing to ask,
Yeah,
and then we're done. Yeah.
go on then.
No,
Sorry, ask away.
Yeah, go on. No, so obviously, it's been spoken about for a while. I've spoken about this before, actually, in terms of a key word, recruitment. I've heard many Arsenal fans for many years say, summer's a big summer, summer's a big summer, this summer's a big summer, big transfer window this summer. And I'm like, no, it isn't. Now we can say that because we're back in the Champions League. The Cronkies can't turn around and say, what was the famous saying, a Champions League budget in the Europa League? That's not the case.
Yeah,
we're back.
Champions League wages on a Europa League budget.
Yes, well said. Thank you, Rod. I knew you got the right phrase. I said it wrong, but people know what I meant. But this is the big one. They've got back into Champions League football after 7-year hiatus, 8 years of hiatus. We finish in the top 2 with a title challenge. So that's why we talk about like a massive progressive season. But in terms of success, then for me, no. I can't sit here and say it's been successful because, okay, you can talk about moments in the season, but that's different when you can talk about moments and you go on to win the title. I mean, we can talk about the Reece Nelson goal against Bournemouth for the next 15 years, but we still finished second. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean, Ray? It's true. Like it's a shame because obviously being at that game was crazy. But yeah, anyway, this is a big summer recruitment wise. I agree with a lot of people when they say we need to fight. We need to see at least 5 recruits come in. Firstly, go and address essential areas properly. Stop getting in temporary fixes. Stop getting in players that are not up to standard. Let's get it sorted properly. Listen, our experienced players, to be honest, were in the crunch part of the season. Where were they? But recruitment-wise is going to be massive, man. I expect a minimum 5 to come in. Minimum. And that's not even talking about the players going out. I expect minimum 5 to come in. What's your thoughts in terms of what we need, whether you want to give names or the particular areas? What's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I agree. I think at least 5 need to come in. I mean, it's weird because with names, you can say somebody, but I mean, Arsenal at the moment, we haven't been able to get our first choices over the line.
And that's an issue. That's a big issue. Good point.
And that's what we need to do this year. If a Declan Rice is our first choice, he needs to be wearing an Arsenal shirt next season.
Well said.
We need to use our status as a Champions League club. We've always been a big club, and we've always had that pull anyway. But now we've got that with the Champions League. We're the only team in London to play in the Champions League. So,
yes.
and I'm not even saying that as a bash at our rivals. It actually is. London is a big selling point to especially a lot of foreign players, and some of the players that we're looking at that already play in London. So, we really need to make the most of that. We need to, as you say, get rid of the dead wood and the players that aren't going to feature under Arteta. We can't have a Ainsley Maitland-Niles scenario where we could have sold him 3 seasons ago for 20 odd million, and now he's leaving for nothing. Like I say, mate, we just need to everyone needs to just be better, smarter, and we just need to bring quality players that are going to challenge our first team players rather than that just going to challenge the players on the bench. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, well said, man. With the guy, like I said, if ESR is not part of the plans, then he's gone. Like he's not injured, right? Like he's been available for months. He's not picked him. Fabio Vieira, for me, one more season. You don't ship up you don't ship up. You're gone. Simple.
Yeah,
I wasn't impressed with
yeah,
what I've seen this season.
fair
People can
enough.
talk about minutes and whatever. I, I say, look, the games he's played, how influential has he been? Has he found the pockets of space? Has he shown you enough or on parts where you think, okay, you know what? Yeah, he should be.
I can only say with Vieira, Brentford away, and when he come on as a sub against Aston Villa away, they're the
That's
two
it.
games that for me that stick
Yeah,
out. But I can't think of any others.
but yeah, you're right. Standards. Yeah, one more season. I'm prepared to give him that. You know, first season Premier League, fair enough. We don't. Not everybody hits the ground running. But for me,
Yeah,
you know, I said it about Moises Caicedo and Declan Rice. I said if Arsenal serious, you go and get both. I said that probably top of my head. What maybe even what January?
yeah.
You know,
And
if
this is
Arsenal.
why being in the sorry, Albert, to
Oh,
cut you,
bro.
but this is why being in the Champions League is so important. Well, we've been told it's so important for us that now we actually have to act on that.
Yeah.
Because if we're being told that we can only buy one of them because we're competing in the Europa League, and the finances are just not the same, then we need to now go into the Champions League, and we are in the the most elite competition, and we are getting those those big finances coming into the club. We need to make the most of it, and if they're both available, we need to go in, and we want them, and they're going to work in our system, and we need to go out there and we need to go and get them. It's as
Go and
simple as
get
that.
them. But listen, Ray, listen, I saw this in the week. This was really, I swear to swear, it pissed me off. Some of these Arsenal fans, man, like, and I say keyword some. It's they talk about, you know, if we blow the budget on like Caicedo and Rice, shut up, man. Like, we need better. Like, what do you not understand?
Yeah.
Why are you now accountants? You're saying that we need better. They both play within the Premier League. You don't have to talk about, oh, we haven't seen them because they play in Serie A or the Bundesliga. Stop complaining. We're back in the Champions League. We need better players in the squad. I'm sorry. From what I've seen with Thomas Partey since he's been at Arsenal, not even talking about this season, since he's been at Arsenal, whether it be the injuries. One of our experienced players, by the way,
Hmm.
complete tail off. We need to
Yeah.
be going to next season where, actually, you know what, Thomas, you're not starting against West Ham away. You're not starting at home to who's come up this for next season, Burnley. No,
Hmm.
that pressure needs to apply. Saka, you're not playing every game. No, you're on the bench this week. That's what needs to happen. So yes,
Yeah.
you go and get Moises Caicedo and Declan Rice and start talking about, oh yeah, but that might blow our budget. I don't care. Address the areas, call it root canal treatment, dental treatment. Address the pain. Like, do it. I mean, Arsenal fans, I
Yeah.
don't get it, man.
Yeah. I mean, we have had to be accountants in the last few years, but listen, you're right. We need to address these issues, because when we've got Thomas Partey, who is, if we don't have him in the team, then we are nowhere near the same team. He's been in the team in the last 6 games, and he has just
Awful.
been well off of it, shadow of the player that he was in the previous seasons. His injuries are a problem as well.
Yep.
So, yeah, although I think he's a first team player anyway, and I'm not saying get rid of him, but as you're saying, we need a player to come in and compete with Thomas Partey, not back him up, to compete with him.
So
And
sit him on the bench. That's what needs to happen.
exactly that, and he needs to feel that he needs to perform, otherwise he's not in the team.
Yeah. So Ray, because the thing is, I just that thing that when I saw that in the week, I said that really wound me up with some of the fans. I'm like, you guys are not serious. So I'm like, okay, all right, cool. Let's do it the way you want it, right? Okay. Who do you want to bring in then? Who do you want to bring in? Like, okay, Arsenal need a forward. I don't care what anyone tells me. Arsenal need to go out and get a gunman, a number 9, whatever. If it's not Osimhen, or to be honest, I saw his contract. I think it's still Napoli. Ray, they just won the Scudetto. They're in the Champions League.
Not
I don't know how
happening.
old he is. Yeah. So he's got to think about 2. I think he's got 3 years left on his contract. Actually, 2 or 3 years. He's not happening. So forget that.
Yeah.
Go and look at a Tammy Abrahams. Or Arsenal have to bring in a forward.
We need a different profile.
Yeah,
we need a different profile.
100%.
Again, Eddie Nketiah has done well in Jesus' absence, and there is a but. he's not the, he's not he's not Erling Haaland, is he? Let's be real. Teams now are going for bigger, number nines. They're back in fashion in football now. Haaland at City. I use the example of like a Nunes or a Gakpo at Liverpool. I know they're not performing, but you can see what they're trying to do there. Benzema at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
These are the elite teams. Even teams like Brentford had Ivan Toney, and what a result they got yesterday without him. But do you know what I mean? That type of player we need, because it is just like for like. That was one of the things about yesterday's game that was frustrating me, because when we did bring on Kieran Tierney, he was the only player that was actually able to get beyond his man and put a ball in the box.
And get balls in the box. But who's in there?
But there was no one there. Jesus is brilliant. His how he hunts the ball and presses and links attack to our midfield, and how he gets us going from a attacking point of view is incredible. But he just doesn't have the goals in his game. And that's why, ultimately, if we're being real, that's why City let him go.
Yeah, we've known that. Yeah, so we did know that. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. But yeah, Arsenal needs to go and get a gunman. Like you said, the Osman thing, that's not going to happen with any club. I don't forget Arsenal. It's not happening with any club.
Unless he wants to come.
Yeah,
and he's supported Arsenal as a kid or whatnot, then we might have a chance. But let's be real. I mean, he's in a fantastic position at Napoli.
Exactly.
He'll probably never need to buy a drink or a pizza or whatever there ever again. And why not stay for one more year? And if you are going to leave, you're going to go to a team that will be challenging to win the Champions League. We're going to be in the Champions League next year, and I hope that we can get to the knockout stages and give a good account of ourselves. But if you want me to be real, I don't expect us to go on and win it, mate. I think
no.
Quarterfinals, maybe a semi, and that would be incredible. But
Ray, the thing for me is what I don't want to happen. If it does happen, Arsenal fans are going to lose their minds, and I actually will say, you know what, you should be losing your minds, because you mentioned it earlier about getting targets, and Arsenal not been very good at doing it for years, which is a worry. But I don't want to. If all right, Xhaka's going to go. Thomas Partey's probably, I'm assuming, he's still going to remain. If they only bring in one, Ray, oh my God, in the central area of the pitch, Arsenal fans will lose their mind. Because they'll be like, hold on a minute, you're keeping Elneny for another year. Thomas Partey's still here, who's, as you mentioned, is injury prone wise, he's not great, his record here. And his form has been just dipped off unbelievably. But if you bring in one central midfield player, Arsenal fans are going to be asking questions, man.
Yeah, I don't think we will. I generally think we'll bring at least two midfield players in, whether they're the players people want,
whoever it is. Just get
yeah. And I only mention Rice and Caicedo because they're the ones that have been talked about all the time. I'm sure there are a lot of football manager scouts and whoever out there that know a lot more than I do. But just in terms of players we're going to bring in, I think we'll bring in at least two midfield players. But like I say, they need to be, whether we've heard of them or not, we need to bring in players that are just going to compete with players that already have a first team shirt, not players that are sitting on the bench or in the reserves, because we never will improve that way.
Yeah, 100%, man. Listen, Ray, man, this has been a blast of a show, man. There's a lot to talk about, man. There was, and there'll be plenty more to talk about. But yeah, the summer's gonna be very, very interesting. I'm actually gonna be looking at more, mate, who leaves and what we get. Be interesting, very, very interesting.
Because what I would say, and I mentioned it earlier, Albert, is that now with the season that we have had, and I know it's ended how it has, but we have now built up a market for these players that are in our reserves and our on our bench. That have significant time on their contract. There is a market for them players now, whereas they wouldn't have been. I mean, you mentioned Xhaka earlier. I don't know who he was going to go to, if we were going to get rid of him anywhere. Now, good level teams in Germany want him, and there wasn't that last season, and I'm sure that's the same for a few of our other players as well. So, like you say, let's see what happens.
No, well said, man. Like I said, this is much needed therapy after yesterday, man, because man was not pleased what I saw yesterday, man. But listen, got one more league game to go, then we can sort of recharge and you know, if we charge our batteries, whether we go on holiday to Barbados or Skegness or Hastings or maybe even in Southend or see wherever you might go.
Wherever you need to go, yeah.
There's other recommendations possible. People in the chat, thank you for your brilliant interaction. Fantastic, all of you in there. Smash the like button already. Yeah, big up to people on the Sunday morning, especially. And you probably some of the Arsenal fans who went yesterday, the away fans, probably still recovering from yesterday, man. After a few bevies and a few lemonades, probably. But yeah, big up to people in the chat. Get your virtual waves and goodbyes. I will put this on the audio a little bit later. But yeah, Ray, thank you for coming on, man. Tell people where they can find you, man.
Yeah, no problem, mate. Thank you again for inviting me.
Of course,
thanks again just for having me on various times this season. For the most part, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. And, you know, it's just we've had a few results that have been painful, but no, thank you. Anyone wants to follow me, Twitter, Ray_Cassin. Thank you again for watching, commenting, and listening if you are in the future. So thanks a lot, guys.
No worries, man. People, if you don't know what to do by now, this is what you should do. There you have it, people. Surround Funky intros. Thanking the people for watching. They're on Twitter feed, YouTube, and on Facebook Live as well. But yeah, your host, Albert JTV. I need a recuperation. I feel like I need another haircut. Go and sit in the garden. I can't because I need to go and cut the garden because it looks terrible. But yeah, listen, yesterday was I said it the week before. I think it was a culmination of what we've been seeing for a few weeks. But yesterday was like almost the icing on the cake, really. But yeah, we've been put out of our in the title, downfall of our own making, mate. For me, a lot of it. But what can you do? Big ups people in the chat. Thank you, Ray, Russ, Incandiezi, Snap Doc Genius. There are loads of people in there. Thank you, Borg in Australia. Love you, bro. We'll get you over when. Hopefully, you'll come over when we're at Arsenal. We're at another title run, man. We'll see, but yeah, I don't know what's coming up next on my channel. I've not got a clue, but I will post it on my social media output, and you'll see. But people, as Albert JTV over and out for another match review. Arsenal, we go again for next season after we finish next week against Wolves. See you soon, people.